Hey, I thought you had work to do. Why are you procrastinating?
Huh? Oh, no. Yeah. I'm gonna do my work. I just need to watch this video first, and then I'll do my work. What the heck? Why would I be procrastinating? Like, that's stupid. What the heck? I just need to watch this video first, cause like I need to, get ready for work. What's the time right now? Oh crap, bro. I've been watching for like an hour with zero work, bro. I don't. And this is a spiral of social media addiction. This is what you call the face of a man who just wasted his last hour by watching dumb YouTube videos, and now he feels unmotivated to do any work. This is a man who needs to learn to be more consistent.
What is it that makes us waste our time? And I wrote it down so we don't dilly-dally. And this is why don't wait to turn to Allah. If we wait to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we may never ever get that opportunity. When we do not have proper objectives and goals in life, we waste a lot of time. We don't know what exactly we want. We don't know where exactly we want to reach. And we don't work towards it. Some people know, I'd like to do this, I'd like to do that. And they don't work towards it. If you don't work towards it, you're wasting time. You're wasting all your time. Because before you know it, time would be finished and you would not have achieved what you wanted.
Okay, awesome. Sorry if my hair looks like a weirdo right now. Does it? Sorry if my hair looks really Sorry if my hair looks really weird right now. It's because I still my morning hair. All right. But this is like low-key becoming my favorite spot to make videos, and that's because I have literally nowhere else to make videos without getting interrupted. So, yeah. Anyways, we're gonna speak about how to be consistent. Yeah, consistency. I mean, yeah, that's something that I really struggled with a lot, and I'm sure that's something you are struggling with, or you used to struggle with a lot. For me, like I would find it extremely disciplined to follow my own word. Like following my own word and listening to myself was tough for me. For example, I used to make a lot of these to-do lists, right, on Google Calendar. I used to write everything I had to do the next day, like, do this, go to the gym at this time, and I would make this grand routine. But then the next day came, and I would maybe follow like 10% of the routine, and then the last 90%, I would just waste the entire day by watching YouTube videos online. But the tough thing was that when I did go back on my words, when I didn't, listen to myself, and when I didn't do what I said what I was going to do, it led me to regretting myself. It led me to regretting the entire day. And just to paint a picture, I used to sit here in bed and just be so pissed at myself, so pissed at the fact that I didn't do anything this day. I would write in my journals about how much of a loser I am, and that all turned into negative self-perception, bad mental health. And what is worse was the fact that I was living with shame and guilt for most of the day. Just so you know, shame and guilt, especially shame, is the worst emotion a person can feel. When we do sin in front of Allah, we feel shame. We feel guilty. Shame is the worst thing that we humans can feel. So when I tell you that I used to live in shame for most of my life, I could only paint a picture to how much of a depressed and sad person I was. I was always feeling shameful, which is not what we want as a Muslim ummah. I mean, just imagine if we have a lot of young Muslims, most of them are struggling with not being consistent. Most of them are struggling with not being productive and disciplined. And we always just chase comfort and stay soft and feminine. Unless you're a woman, then you should stay feminine. If you're a sister, of course. But I'm talking about especially for the men here. We start staying so feminine and soft. No one likes us and we're hated and we don't like ourselves. This is a huge issue. Why is it a big issue? Because we're fighting a clear enemy. They are persecuting and destroying our Muslim brothers and sisters in Palestine. They are destroying our Muslim brothers and sisters in Lebanon, in Syria, and all of these countries. They have been attacking us Muslims from years. I'm talking about when they took over the Middle East, when they took over, North Africa, like Algeria and Morocco and Egypt. They were trying to destroy us Muslims because we are a direct threat to them. And the enemy, right? Our direct enemy, and it starts with an I, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. That enemy not only controls the media industry, the same industry that we are distracting ourselves with every single day, that enemy controls the pornography industry that we Muslims, a lot of Muslims, are struggling with and destroying themselves with every single day, to the point where now Muslims are walking with their head down, they're depressed, they feel nothing in life, and they feel shameful because they're doing such degenerate acts. And again, I'm not making fun of them, it's actually not their fault. They control Instagram, Twitter, except Twitter, but Twitter, is free speech. But other than that, they control most media. And we Muslims are just scrolling ourselves to our death. And that's why we feel tired all the time. That's why we feel depressed all the time. That's why we feel lazy all the time, because there's nothing going on in our lives. We're not fulfilled. We're not achieving anything. We just sit here and do nothing. And imagine, our enemy is succeeding right now. Our enemy wants to keep us weak because we are a direct threat to them, because they know that if we Muslims become the best version of ourselves, if we Muslims build our mental fortitude to the point where we are unbreakable, nothing could break us. Imagine if the Sahaba, any Sahaba, imagine especially Khalid ibn Walid, Umar radiallahu anhu, many other Sahaba, imagine they just walked up to Bibi. You know what I'm talking about, Bibi. Well, Bibi would be crapping his pants. If we walked up to our enemies with that level of discipline and mental fortitude for the sake of Allah, if we become warriors of Islam, our enemies would be crapping themselves. Listen, I'm gonna say this once and for all. The enemy pretty much wants to control the entire world. They want to impose their beliefs on us, and they clearly worship shaitan. They have their own rituals that have been exposed, and I'm not gonna be all conspiracy theory on you, so don't worry. But it's not even conspiracy theory, it's been proven that they pretty much worship shaitan, and they want to impose this belief onto everyone, and that's why they're making everyone weak. Most people are like sponges nowadays. Whatever they're told, they just okay, yeah, sure, I agree with you, without questioning anything. So they want to make us weak, feminine, and just emotional, so they can play with our emotions, they can manipulate us, and they can control us, so they can impose their beliefs on us. I hope this video doesn't get taken down, but this gives us more than enough reason on why we need to improve ourselves. This gives us more than enough reason why we need to stop this BS. We need to take them down, and we need to become the best version of ourselves mentally and physically, so whenever they look at us, they get scared out of their minds, because, well, we're not playing in their tricks anymore. We can't fall for their tricks anymore. That's it. They can only play tricks from afar. But whenever Muslims start becoming so strong to the point where we start knocking on their doors, they will be crapping their pants. So in order to become more consistent, right, we need to attack the root problem. As you know, there are symptoms of an issue. Like, for example, you have fever, right? Now, fever is a main problem, you have a fever, but the symptoms of a fever is like a runny nose, it's a sore throat, and many other symptoms. Modern day medicine being what it is, being controlled by a certain group of people, these doctors give you medicine to fix the symptoms and technically not the fever. For example, these doctors will give you, I don't know, ibuprofen, or what is it called? Like the painkillers. These doctors will give you painkillers, which also destroy your life and your health and your mental health and whatever. But either way, these doctors will give you painkillers, so it'll be like a temporary fix. Like when you take these painkillers, it will remove the pain for a little bit. But technically, you still haven't fixed the main issue, which is the fever. And it's the same thing, right? Whenever we're not consistent, I just want you to know that the reason why we procrastinate is because we're not fixing the root problem. The symptoms of not being consistent is, for example, one day we do really good and the next day we procrastinate. Next day we watch a lot of YouTube videos, we scroll all the time, we do everything, right? Social media is not the issue. The problem is the fact that you and I and me and other people are not disciplined. We are not disciplined people, right? If we were more disciplined individuals, then we wouldn't have a problem with social media. We have other things to do. But the fact is, since we are not fixing the root problem, for example, you might think that it's your scrolling problem, like you scroll too much on TikTok or Instagram. It's not. The issue is that you're not disciplined enough. If you were more disciplined, then you wouldn't even be using Instagram, because you know you have other stuff to do. You can't be distracting yourself. Remember, a man without a purpose distracts himself with pleasure. And the same thing for a sister as well. On the Day of Judgment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks in an ayah, right? Where people will gather, and I'm summarizing, people will gather and they'll start to whisper to each other. So for example, you're in the Day of Judgment right now, someone beside you, you're going to start whispering to them. And what are the people going to whisper? They're going to talk about how how their life on earth felt like 10 days. compared to the day of judgment, life on earth will only feel like 10 days. So I just want you to imagine for a second. Imagine if one of those people that just scroll all the time, those people that just play video games all the time. Imagine one of those people, like those like nerdy flipping bots, you know what I mean? Like those pink haired people. Imagine if they went to the doctors. If they went to the doctors and the doctor told them that they only had 10 days to live, do you think those weird nerdy people would be like, scrolling or playing video games all day or playing Valorant all day? No. Those people will do anything possible to make the most out of their 10 days. They'll go visit their family, they'll go do this, they'll try to figure out the purpose of life. They'll do everything in those 10 days. Even us, if we were given the option to only live 10 days, what would we do? We would go to Umrah, we would go to Hajj, we would go to Masjid al-Aqsa when possible. We would go with family, we would make istighfar, we'll do so many things. That's the thing though. We don't internalize the fact that this earth will literally feel like 10 days. So in order to fix the main issue of our lives, in order to destroy our enemies that want to keep us distracted and weak, we have to start becoming more consistent by fixing the root problem, which is not being disciplined. So how do we become more disciplined? So you have to understand that discipline is almost like a muscle. You have to realize with the gym, it takes a little bit of patience, right? The more you do it, the more muscle you gain. And the more you push yourself, you start becoming and getting more and more muscle, right? And it's the same thing with discipline. So discipline is like a muscle, and the more you prime yourself to inducing pain, and the more you do hard work, the more discipline you get. Identity is the most important part. Because for example, right, if a regular guy, one of those Jeffries, I like to say Jeffries because I watch Hamza sometimes, especially those 40-year-old uncles that think like, I'm gonna go on a weight loss journey, they watch like a movie like Rocky, or like they watch like a very motivating movie, like they watch David Goggins or they watch Andy Tate, and they're becoming more motivated. They become so much more motivated. They're like, I'm gonna lose 10 pounds, yeah. And then what happens is they tried losing 10 pounds, right? And then they give up after like 3 days. They'll be like, I gotta go back to McDonald's, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, have these goals on New Year's resolution, but then they don't achieve any of them. Most of the population can't achieve their goals. And the reason why is because we don't just do goals to achieve goals. We do goals to become those goals. Let me explain. So, for example, I have this book here. This is literally Atomic Habits. And what I'm going to be telling you is from this book as well. But the goal isn't to read a book. The goal is to become a reader. The moment you have an identity of something, then it just becomes automatic, right? Like, for example, you don't have to think about brushing your teeth. You don't have to think about eating food. And so you have to realize that we have to make this our identity. Discipline, it should be our identity as Muslim people, as Muslim mu'mins, as Muslim believers. And the way you can make something your identity is literally by repeating small habits until they become a part of your identity. For example, the smoking example. If someone gave you a cigarette and you tried it for the first time, even though you tried smoking, you're not going to consider yourself a smoker. But the more cigarettes you smoke, even if it's just one cigarette a day, you're going to keep smoking it, and then you're going to start to see yourself as a smoker. 3 weeks go by, 4 weeks go by, this became a habit. The moment it becomes a habit, boom, you consider yourself a smoker now. And then since you consider yourself a smoker, you're going to have more smoker friends, you're going to smoke with other people. That's how it works, right? So it's all about identity, and the things that make up the identity are small habits that you do repeatedly. All right. So in order to get good habits into our life, and in order to become more disciplined, we have to be doing small things every single day on a continual basis until we start becoming more disciplined. Self-explanatory, right? For example, a lot of people think becoming disciplined is like going on a 10-kilometer run. No, it's not, because a fat person, if he thinks about going on a 10-kilometer run, he's going to give up, right? Because that's not his identity. So the way to become more disciplined is to literally do small habits every single day. For example, you wake up early, that's one, ticked off. You make your bed every single morning, that's one, ticked off. And what's beautiful is that the more you wake up early and make your bed, for example, 2 or 3 weeks go by, you do it every single day, you will automatically see yourself as an organized person. If you go to the gym every single day, it just becomes a normal part of your life. You see yourself as an athletic person. You see yourself as a gym goer, right? Someone who barely went to the gym, he struggles to go to the gym. But if you even go to the gym for 15 minutes every single day, then you'll just see yourself as a person who goes to the gym regularly on a regular basis. Everyone does it backwards. So I want you, especially if you want to be a disciplined, strong Muslim, someone who can become the best version of yourself, someone who doesn't have to live in mediocrity and depressiveness and sadness anymore, someone who doesn't have to live with shame anymore, then we have to start doing small things instead of just like doing what everyone else does, which is like set big goals and then, give up. If a lot of us start to do this, small, little by little, we will all one day be standing around each other, ready to take on our enemies, bro. I'm telling you right now, it starts with you, and then if someone else sees you, they're gonna start, and then from the YouTube channel, other people are gonna start, and we're gonna have this movement. Muslims that don't need to be depressed anymore. We don't need to be mediocre anymore. We don't need to be nerdy, and we will literally look our best. We will feel our best. This will be the best way to give da'wah. As Habib said, Muslims don't read Quran, they don't read Hadith, they read you. And when they read us and they see us as the best versions of ourselves, bro, the future is so bright. And I know that you can do this. So start with small wins and watch how Allah blesses you. Again, Allah will give us tests, but use those as your advantage. Remember, when Allah gives you tests, that's a test of your discipline. Because discipline is to do the right things, especially when you don't feel like doing them. Join the Discord server in the description below to join like-minded Muslim brothers who will one day stand up to our enemies and who will one day become the most fulfilled and purposeful version of themselves possible. Anyways, I love you. Good luck. Assalamu alaikum. Let's go.